like Bronx Tale. You know, how much it's going to cost me to get rid of this guy?
So I got shot 2 times in the Bronx. The guy owed me $10. I might have had $30,000 in my pocket. I see the guy. Once again, I bully him. Yo, where my $10? I want my $10. I want my $10. And one day he showed up and he was so afraid of me. Out of fear, he shot me twice.
All right, it's Monday at 11 o'clock. You know what that is. That means the Chazz Palminteri Show every Monday at 11 o'clock. We have new, exciting guests. We have like the best in music, the best in rap, the best in comedy. Great comics we have on this show. Actors, singers, songwriters, old school guys. You know, I like a very eclectic group of people, you know. To me, it's all about guests. I like to bring the guest on and also my solo things and obviously my work with the 2 girls. You know, Tara Tracy, incredible funny comic, and Catherine Narducci, a great actor. So, don't forget my restaurants. My 2 restaurants, 264 Main Street in White Plains and 30 West 46th Street in Manhattan. I never say my Italian restaurants are the best in the world. I say, if you want to say the top 5 in New York, absolutely. Because there's a lot of great restaurants in New York City. But mine are in the top 5, I can tell you that right now. And the one-man show, you got to come and see the one-man show. The show that started it all before the movie, before the musical. It's the show, come on guys, that made me famous. You know the whole story. I turned down over $1 million and finally I decided Robert De Niro came to see it. And hey, as they say, the rest is history. If you want to see it. So John, where am I going to be next, John?
Next one's going to be December 1st. That's in Ridgefield, Connecticut at the Ridgefield Playhouse.
The Ridgefield Playhouse. I go there at least 3 or 4 times a year. There's only a few tickets left, folks, but try to get in. You'll love it. Where else?
Next one's going to be January 5th. That's in Naples, Florida at the Artis Naples Performing Arts Center.
Ah, Naples, Florida. Where's that? Artis?
Artis, yes.
Okay. And?
After that, we got January 7th. That is at the Steinmetz Hall in Orlando, Florida.
And for Orlando? Okay. Orlando, Florida?
Orlando, Florida.
I'll be in Florida here that month of January. Where else?
And then the next one's on my birthday. That's January 21st in Huntington, New York, where I grew up at the Paramount Theater.
The Paramount Theater, my favorite. I got a big surprise about the Paramount Theater. I won't say it yet, but a big surprise is coming up. So please, try to come to the Paramount Theater. That is a legendary place if you're in New York. Florida, you know where I'll be. Ridgefield Playhouse, love that place. All right, so tonight, what am I saying tonight? Today, 11 o'clock, Monday, I got somebody on this show that I've been trying to get for 2 years, folks. 2 years. And it's not his fault. It's not my fault. He's so damn busy. I'm so damn busy. But finally, we connected. You know, they say the word legend, but this guy truly is a legend. I know everybody throws that word around. He was there at the very beginning of a lot of great things. And he is a brother, man. He's from the Bronx, just like I am. And let me tell you, and he's from the 5th floor. He lived on the 5th floor in the Bronx, just like me. I lived on the 5th floor. We're Bronx guys. He is truly an incredible artist, hip-hop, known all over the world, big records, multi-platinum records. Here he is, folks. He is a legend. Fat Joe. Joe, how are you, man?
Thank you so much, my brother.
How are you?
Well, I wasn't avoiding you, and I knew I had to come here. It was like a offer you can't refuse, and we look up to you so much. When I speak of me, I speak in as a whole community, the whole Bronx. We look up to you in like a different way. You're like one of our biggest, most notable heroes ever to live in the Bronx. So I definitely was coming here, and I'm glad we finally got it right.
Yeah.
And out of all days, it's on Halloween.
It's on Halloween.
That's crazy.
That's right. It's fucking Halloween today. Joe, there's so many questions I got to ask you. Like, obviously, you're a Bronx guy, born in 1970.
Man, I'm from the Bronx, the Bronx, the Bronx.
You're from the Bronx.
Yeah, man, and you know, I know every block in the Bronx,
Right.
everybody, every hot dog vendor in the Bronx,
Right.
every cab driver, I actually got to stay away from the Bronx because every
Right.
time I can't walk down 2 blocks without knowing somebody went to school with my sister,
Right.
went to school with me,
Exactly.
knows my cousins,
Knows your cousins.
and I got to talk to them. Otherwise, you know, I got famous and I changed on them. So it's like, it's hard walking around the Bronx.
It's the same way when I go to the Bronx. The same thing in my neighborhood. Dominic's Little Italy and
Shout out to
G-
Dominic.
Gino's
man.
Pastry. You know,
And City Island. Was y'all doing City Island back in the day
love
too?
City Island. Yeah, Pop's
Tony's
Pier,
all the way in the back.
all the way in the back.
Yeah.
That's right. Now I got to start. There's so many questions I got to ask. Okay. You're born in 1970. You're this young kid. When did you have these aspirations? I just don't want to grow up and get a job. I want to be somebody. How did this happen?
Wow. I mean, first of all, I fell in love with hip hop.
Right.
And hip hop was born in the Bronx. And it was born right in my hood. So
Right.
like I watched Grandmaster Flash, the Furious Five, they're from my community. All the big boys, all the Shy Rock, the first female MC, Ruby D, the first Latino MC. I mean, the list goes on. Everybody, it was like the mecca of hip hop walking right outside my door. And so also following my big brother, who he was into hip hop and he was older than me, he would bring me back like cassette tapes of parties and stuff because I was too little. I was 5 years old.
5 years
5,
old.
6 years old. So it was like he would bring me back the tapes and I would just study the tapes. I would listen and I would hear what's going on. Be like, what? And he would like right now, he would stop
Yeah.
and be like, that's when Grandmaster Flash told everybody back up from the ropes. And you know, and so I felt like I was there.
Right. Wow. So you would say Grandmaster Flash was one of the pioneers.
Beyond.
Beyond.
He's on the Mount Rushmore of pioneers. It's him. It's Kool Herc.
Yeah.
Kool Herc is known for throwing the first hip hop party ever. Africa Bambaataa and Zulu Nation. Those are the 3 founding fathers.
Wow.
From day one of hip hop.
Okay, so now you fell in love with hip hop. You started growing up. You still. I like to get to the very, very beginning. All of a sudden,
There was something different in my DNA.
Right.
Because nobody before me was really rich or majorly successful in my family.
Right.
Right. And, you know, my father's from Cuba. He was an immigrant from Cuba, hardworking.
Right.
Always had 2 jobs, was a baker, a carpenter. My mother worked 3 jobs, Puerto Rican, but you know, she grew up in the Bronx.
Right.
And so, you know, I just remember this story I tell people is I was 12 years old looking out and the Bronx looked like it was a war zone. And I remember telling my friend Louie, I was like, yo, I'm not going to be broke. Like, I don't know, this broke thing ain't for me. And he didn't understand because we didn't know rich people.
And how old were you?
I was 12 years old.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Is this the same story? Exactly.
Same thing happened to you?
Holy shit. On my mother and father, this is scary.
Yeah.
My friend, Sally Slick, we were in the hallway and it was winter and we were looking out and I said, man, I there's got to be more than this. I got to do something. And he was like, well, I don't know. It's pretty cool here, you know. And I was like, I got to do but it's the same thing. So you were like destined.
Yeah.
You felt something,
That's
right?
how winners are. And then you go through so many trials and tribulations to get to where you are.
Right.
You know, and now as I'm older, I feel like, you know, God gives you different roadblocks so you can become appreciative of what you
Right.
got.
Right.
And so while you're going through it, you like, why me? Yo, why I gotta go through it?
Right.
But then you eventually start realizing like, yo, you better appreciate what you got.
Now, okay, I'm just trying to get to. I want people to know. Look where me and Joe came from. Look where I came from. It's not impossible to follow your dream and really make something. So when did you feel like, okay, I'm on my way here? I got a little success.
Man, I never forget. Well, I went to Showtime at the Apollo, and I won 4 weeks in a row. And one day I try to go back. This is a true story. I try to go back in my mind and think about how did I win the Apollo Theater in Harlem? And I can't even explain it. From the second I stepped on stage, they just started screaming and going crazy. I can't even remember the words I was rapping. They just went crazy. They just like fell in love with me from the minute I walked out. They were just going crazy. And then I remember I put out my first single, Flojo, and I had my first show. Shout out to Sal Abatello, that I know you know him and his
I know
father.
Sally, yes.
You know, and he told me stories about you guys growing up, the Golden Elephant, all that.
Yes.
And so Sal had my first show at the Fever in the Bronx, and I remember I was so nervous. I was at my projects, and everybody was waiting, and we was gonna go. I didn't know if it was gonna be one person there, so I sent somebody over there to check, and he came back. This before social media.
Right.
He was like, "Yo, there's lines around 2 blocks. It's crazy. They got the lines around 2 blocks." And so when I pulled up, everybody I ever known was like, Joe. And then here I am walking in this club where 2 months before I would walk in as just a regular guy from the Bronx. And now I'm like a star to the South Bronx. And that's when I knew.
So that's when your first moment.
Something.
Oh, we got something here.
And then in the more national, I went to LA for my first promo tour.
Right.
And Arsenio Hall, they invited me, Stretch Armstrong, the DJ. And Arsenio Hall, so I went in the audience, like it was the biggest thing in the world.
Right.
So I'm sitting in the audience, and then out of nowhere, Arsenio Hall is like, "Yo, we got my main man, the hottest guy out of New York, Fat Joe." I was like, "What?" And then he had me perform on Arsenio Hall. He was like, "Yo, pass me the mic." They played music. I just lost my mind, and I abandoned the whole promo tour, everything. I flew back to the Bronx the next day. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I made it. It was like I made it moment.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I always like to, that's why I'm glad you're saying these things, because I don't like to, you do a lot of shows and they just say, well, and we'll get to all that, but I like to know who you are, the person you are. Mm-hmm. Now, do you feel in your heart, I'm sure other people feel, do you feel you changed at all since you made it?
Yeah. I really think I changed as far as when I first was, so you young, you become like, I put out records number one in the world.
You had a bunch of them.
Number ones though,
yes.
Right? And no, this is weird, right? It's number ones. And then I was the number one guy in the world. I'm young, I'm 26, 27, I'm rich. We flying private. We doing everything you could do to spend all your money, right?
Right.
And so I know at that point I had to change on people. I can't look at it now because I'm older now and I'm wiser, but at that time I must have really thought my shit don't stink. Like I must have been walking around.
Well, you were young.
Yeah, I was young.
You were young.
And then and coming from nothing, Fort Apache, the Bronx, to being rich and being number one in America, I definitely changed. Now, as far as nowadays, I've really changed because I've really matured as a grown man, and I like to inspire the youth. I like to be a beacon of hope.
Great.
I open businesses in the South Bronx and Harlem and Washington Heights. We have a classroom in inside our store in the Bronx where we teach after school program.
That's really great.
Teach the kids the computers, and we often give back. So yeah, I changed like that in the way that I always want people to affiliate my name with, he's from the Bronx, he never left, and he's always giving back to the Bronx.
I feel the same way, man.
Yeah.
And you're married.
Yeah.
You have 3 children.
Yeah.
And it's good to be, you want to be an example of a good father to your children, because that's everything.
I think I definitely accomplished that.
I think so too, from what I read about you.
Yeah. Me growing up, I had I still love my father. I take care of my mother and father to this day, right? But my father was really, really tough.
Right.
He was really, really borderline too tough, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I
like
left my
today,
house.
Today they'd be arrested.
He'd
Today.
be in jail.
They'd be in jail. Right.
He'd be a 5-10-time felon.
Right.
Like,
they'd be walking them out with handcuffs today.
To this day.
To this day, right.
To this day, I go to my mother's house. Like, I take care of these people. Like, I'm the only one. I take care of these people, and they still curse me out. Him, not my mother. He curses me out to this day. I ain't shit. I ain't this. I ain't that. I'm looking at him. I'm like,
God.
this guy know I've been paying his bills for 20 years straight. Like,
Yeah.
But
it's nice that you do that.
he was really, really tough. And so I had to leave the house when I was 14.
14?
And so, yeah, 14. I was in the street. And then, and so now, you know, like my kids, I think I hit my son once because I had a show in Vegas. And Rich is calling me, who coaches all the kids in the hood. He's like, yo, your son throwing a pool party in your house. I got jury, all type of stuff. Nobody's there. I'm out in Vegas. He threw a party.
Right.
You know, 500 kids in there.
Oh, Jesus.
So, oh my God, man, I came back so early from, I can't even believe I was on the way. I might have got back there like 6 in the morning. Yeah, I had to whip his ass, you know,
Yeah.
but that's the only one. My daughter, she's like Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
And then, you know, and my oldest son, Joey, he's autistic. So, you know, he's like the Don of the family.
Right.
And so he knows, he looks at them and he sits back and he laughs at them and he sits like, look at my little sister, she's big and all that. So,
Right,
you know,
right.
I'm very blessed. My son lives up here in this neighborhood too. My son Ryan,
Right.
he has a business up in this neighborhood, him and his girlfriend. So I'm proud of these guys, and I'm proud of me being the father. I'm not perfect, but hopefully
who is?
I did a good example. You know, because you know it's hard when you're trying to be a good influence and trying to be a role model to your kids and all
Right.
that, to be perfect.
Yes.
You know, it's hard.
But that's great that you see. I believe in that too. You got to give back, and I want people to always say that about me because I go back to the neighborhood a lot. I go back there. I go to all the stores. I still shop there. I eat at all the restaurants, all of them. Because if I eat at one restaurant, then
They
go,
mad.
Fuck him. What's
Oh,
the matter?
man, they
So
mad.
I can't.
I went
you
in
know
a
that.
restaurant. I went in Roberto's. I was
Right.
walking in Roberto's, and the owner, Dominic's, pulled up on me in the car and was like, Joe, it's me. I was like,
Oh. Well, hey,
you know, you try to spread the love out
try to
there.
spread the
you know
love,
what I
right,
mean?
right,
You
right.
try to show them all love, but yeah, I'm constantly, you know, in the Bronx and supporting the businesses, supporting
Right.
the people, and you know, I just love the Bronx, and
too.
and I just hope, you know, God allows me to get wealthier to a point of where I could do some really, really
Right.
remarkable
I
things
believe
out
that,
there.
Yeah. Now, how do you feel about this, Joe? Since we both come from similar neighborhoods, you know how it is. You're getting famous. You're getting rich. See, I was older. You were younger, so it was harder for you. I didn't make it till I was like 38. So I was a little older, so my head was all right. In my 20s, if I would have made it, I'd be
Forget it.
I'd be living with 2 hookers in Paris somewhere. Who the fuck? I don't know where I'd be right now. You know what I mean? But how do you, I talked about it, with your manager Dillier. Say it again, Dillier.
Didier, yeah, it's my publicist.
Didier.
But yeah.
And we talked about it. It's like, and even when I talked about it with Rich, sometimes you want to take some of your boys with you, but you can't, because I don't know about you, but I tried to do it in the very beginning, and all they ended up doing after a while was resenting you, because they were jealous. And meanwhile, I'm helping them, paying them to be with me, and you end up, you know what I mean? You end up. They do something stupid, and it's a bad reflection on you. And after a while, you just, like, we'd like to be in the Bronx, but some of it you got to leave behind. How do you feel about that?
I mean, you hit it on it. I feel like I ain't really got nothing to say. But,
Right.
You know, you get survivor's guilt because, you know,
Yes.
the mothers used to feed you when you was in the
Exactly.
Bronx and everything.
Right.
And so I like to look out for people as long as it ain't abuse. Right? And
Right.
so, like, if somebody's mother died, I might have paid for 100 funerals in the Bronx.
Wow.
No lie. No exaggeration. If somebody dies or their mother died, I'm the first guy they call, and they're like, yo, you know, Senora Nancy, she died. Senora Nancy, this. And I go by the funeral home and I drop off the bag and I just keep it moving. And so, you know, but I try to take 100 guys with me because, you know, I was 20 something. I made like 10 million, right? And
100 guys.
so I had 100 guys. I had 20, 30 guys in the same Cadillac riding back to back. You know, we did all that. And then all I realized is these guys was like fucking up my career. Like,
yes.
you know, because they don't share the same goals as you.
Right.
And they're not looking at where you want to go. And the only thing they know is they down with Fat Joe and they trying to get with every girl in the world. Or
right.
if somebody fucks with Fat Joe, we're going to beat up the whole place. So I actually used to bring guys and they wound up beating up my fans all the time.
Right.
To the point of where I couldn't bring them no more.
Right.
And then I have one famous story, and I'll tell it to your audience. One day I'm in the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons in Puerto Rico. We flew in 2 private planes, and we there. All the guys are downstairs at the bar ordering Cristal, whatever they want, right? And I'm in the room, and for some reason, I was just staring at the ceiling, and it was like God was talking to me. And I said, you know what? And so I called everybody together. It was like 45 of us. Very famous story in my life.
45 guys.
No, it was like 45 of us.
Jesus Christ.
But we did that for 15 years straight. This ain't something that we did for a week. Like I fed 30, 45 guys steak and lobster and champagne for 15 years straight. Like you wouldn't see Fat Joe without 40, 50 guys, right? And so one day I said to them, I said, listen, man, I got bad news. And it wasn't even true. I said, I ain't got it no more. You know, I don't have money like that. It's short, this and this and that. And out of the 45 guys, only 5 guys said, I'm with you even if you broke. I do it. And those are the guys you see with me to this day. The other 40 guys got themselves eliminated. You know, they were talking like, yo, this is our money. I'm like, you don't write the songs. You don't. This is our money. This is us. Yo, how could you do this? This is. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe you know even better than me. Have you ever come across like delusional people?
Are you kidding?
No. But I mean like people who tell themselves something that
if it wasn't for me,
true.
If it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have wrote that. How about that one? How about that one, brother? If it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have the material that he has. He got that shit from me. Wow. Same thing.
Some of them broke your heart, huh?
Yes. You know what a guy said to me once? When I really fucking hit it big and I was starring in all the movies, you know, I'm making fucking millions of dollars. And he was jealous and he was like really, and he bad-mouthed me to a publicist. And I saw him. I said, why would you do that? What the fuck's the matter with you? I said, didn't you wish me success? He goes, yeah, I always wished you success, but not that much.
Damn.
But not that much.
No, I got a friend who always tells this story. He says they want you to be successful. They just don't want you to live next door. Yes. That's one of my friends. And that's on another level of success. That's the guys who are already successful, who are mad that you coming up.
Right.
You're going to live next door. That's a different kind of conversation. The conversation I'm having is people who wish you bad, man. And I've never like been jealous of nobody. So
right.
I don't know if they know, but this is in your house, right?
Right.
I'm so happy when I pulled up to your house that is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And the driveway. And these type of things inspire me. You know, I don't get jealous.
Not at all.
This way I'm like, wow, Chazz, man,
Right.
he did it from the Bronx. Like, and so I go to Diddy's house and he got this big ass house in Miami.
Right.
That's inspiration. I say, yo, I come from the same place. I could get it. I never understood the jealousy. And why would you be jealous of your so-called friends?
Right. See, you're not jealous because inside of you say, I'm happy for him because I have maybe, look, the guys some of my close friends are huge stars, you know, De Niro and they have mega houses. Mm-hmm. And I go, fucking great. You know, but I look at it. I love it. Yeah. Because I know who I am and I'm happy with what I have. I'm very happy.
Well, question for you. In the Bronx, because I used to talk to Sal all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like a Bronx historian.
Yes,
like,
please.
So,
I
you know,
love
the
it too.
old man, they had an old man. He got ill last time I tried to go see him. His job was at the courthouse in 161.
Right.
And he knows everything about the Bronx. Like, he knows that Did you know that the Grand Concourse was made by the same people in France who did the Champs-Élysées?
I heard of that, yes.
No, the whole Grand
Yes.
Concourse was made
Yes.
by the Champs-Élysées. When we fly to Paris to see the Grand Concourse,
Right.
so he would tell me all these stories, but now he's ill. Who did you grow up that became to be mega stars out of the Bronx?
The only other person that I grew up with, but he was 10 years older than me, was Dion, from Dion and the Belmonts, the singer.
Okay, and what about so Joe Pesci never came from the Bronx?
Joe wasn't, I don't know if Joe was born in Bronx, but again, Joe Pesci used to be a waiter at Amici's in the Bronx. That was...
People claim him, or they
Yes,
just
no,
want to
no.
claim him. Like they say he's from the Bronx.
He's from the Bronx. Well, yeah, I would say that, yes. I would say, but he's not known from being from the
Who
Bronx.
would you see in the Bronx? Would you see these guys? Like
I don't remember when I was really young. Like I said, Joe's older than me. Those guys are 10 years older than me. But I remember he used to be a waiter in Amici's, and he sang with Frank Vincent, who was the other guy. They would have like a duo.
You know, he used to be in the Bronx, by the way. I don't know if you know. The
but,
Bronx was a destination spot.
And Al Pacino was in the Bronx for a little while. He was from the Bronx. There was
Al
some
Pacino.
really, Pacino was from there, and Bob
I was so
there.
surprised. I was having dinner and I looked at the other table and Al Pacino was there, and a friend of ours introduced us, and I was surprised that Pacino was like shorter.
Yeah, Al is
Like in the movies, they must shoot him like he's a giant, right?
Yeah. Well, what happens is you don't have guys that are too tall with him. You try to cast, and Al is not like, he's not short. He's not like 5'4". Al's about 5'8", maybe, which is not too bad, which is okay.
Yeah, but with us, we okay, so we idolize, Al Pacino. We idolize you. So how do you feel, right? There's this, I'm not trying to take over your podcast.
No, I don't. I like that.
I'm pretty good at this shit.
I like talking.
But listen,
go, babe, go.
No, because in hip hop, we have a question. You could use it as a cliche, or you could use it as any interview you do. You always ask an artist, who's his top 5 rappers? You're in the top 5 movies of all time, Bronx Tale. So this is, and I do this all the time. I get in the car with a driver.
Right.
I get in the car with an Uber driver. I get in conversations with people, and they're not from the Bronx.
Right.
But they always say, Godfather.
Right.
They always say, Goodfellas.
Absolutely.
They always say, A Bronx Tale.
A Bronx Tale, yeah.
And then there's 2 more.
Donnie Brasco, maybe.
Donnie Brasco. Donnie Brasco's a big one for people.
Yeah, big one.
Wasn't big on me, Donnie Brasco.
Yeah.
Wasn't big on me, but it was a big, and Casino. Right? And those are the 5.
Yeah. You know what's, you're right. Joe, you know what's amazing? And now I know it's because it's been years. When Bronx Tale took off, people would call me and say, "Hey, man, could I use Bronx Tale in my video?" And I would go, the first time I said, "Well, okay," and I did it, and then I let another guy, and I realized that I had a huge following in the Hispanic and Black community.
Yeah, that was a big thing for us. It was a sense of pride.
Out.
It was a sense of pride, and then you had Colagito.
Yes.
And his girl, and
his girl, yeah,
Black and Italian, and then see if she opens the door.
Yes.
And that was.
My name's Colodro. You know that.
I didn't know that. I swear, I thought you was Chazz.
I was born Colodro. I'm the little boy in Bronx Tale. When I wrote Bronx Tale, a lot of people don't even know. When I wrote Bronx Tale, that's why when you see the one-man show, one of these days you got to come and see it.
I gotta come.
A Bronx Tale is about me and me growing up. My father was a bus driver.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes. My dad was a bus driver. I was dating this black girl when I was like 18, 17 years old. And in 1968. Now, 1968.
Now, how you cast De Niro?
Yeah.
How you cast all these people, all these...
Well, actually, no, I wouldn't sell the rights to it unless I played Sonny and I would write the screenplay because it was my life. I had $200 in the bank. They offered me $250,000. I said no. 3 weeks later, $500,000. I said no. 2 weeks later, $1 million. Again, I said no. Finally, I was doing the show, sold out every night, standing ovation. I did the show, walk off stage, and the stage manager says, "You better go downstairs. Robert De Niro was waiting for you in your dressing room." I walk in the dressing room and there's Bob De Niro, and he says, "Hey, man," he said, "What?" He said, "You did a movie on stage by yourself." I said, "Well, thanks, Bob." He said, "Listen," he said, "I'm telling you right now," he said, "you'd be great as Sonny, and you should write it because it'll be your life." He said, "I'll play your father and I'll direct it. And if you shake my hand, that's the way it'll be." And I shook his hand.
That's it.
And that's how the movie got
He still buys all his cold cuts for all his movies in Arthur Avenue.
Yes, Mike's Deli. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike's Deli. That's
Yo,
right.
Mike's Deli. Yo, Mike's my man, man. I take when I go there, he floods me with mozzarella. He floods me with the sauces. But what do you think? You being from the El Italiano, you know, my brother Eminem just pulled out a new sauce. It's called Mom Spaghetti.
Really?
He sent it to my house. I swear to God, he has a sauce.
I have a sauce too.
Available.
But
It's
I gotta
called
try
Mom
it.
Spaghetti.
Mom Spaghetti. Well, I got to tell you, man, he's, you know, people in the very beginning when he came out, he was one of the first white rappers, I think.
No, he's the best.
But then when you hear him, I go, well,
he's the best.
No. That's the reason why.
No, he's phenomenal.
You can't stop him when you're that great.
No, you can't stop. He's
when
too
you're
great.
that great,
He's too great.
he's too great.
He's too great.
Yeah,
He's
like
too great.
I don't know him well, but I met Dre, you know, and I got him through. I got to know him a little bit through Jimmy IV, and I met with him a bunch of times, and he would tell me when he first heard him rap, it was like,
I know.
What the fuck?
No, he's an alien.
Yeah, it was like an alien. You know,
He's
I mean,
amazing. You know, I named the song called Bronx Tale on my second album, and I did it with my idol KRS-One from the Bronx.
Yeah,
and we called it A Bronx Tale, and it was just that real hip hop hardcore. But for me to perform with my idol, the guy I looked up to, you know, and years later, I when I listened to that song, I'm really impressed that I was so young, so early in the game. Like I'm light years better than I was then.
Yes, right.
But I'm like, damn, man, you know, you stood your ground, Joe.
Right.
You went with your idol and you went for yours on there. And I think that's a real Bronx testament.
Right.
When we see J-Lo, how far she's come. Or Cardi B, and now we got the young girl Ice Spice. It's like, that's a Bronx. You know, you said you was at Yankee Stadium, right? But you seen I let it all out. I went topless, baby. No, you know I went topless, Chazz. The whole world was in Yankee Stadium, the 50th anniversary. I went topless, baby.
You did.
I had to take them to Joey from the neighborhood, baby. They got to see that ass whether they wanted to or not. And I'm up in there. And let me tell you something. My daughter, I just told you, my daughter's Little House on the Prairie. Private school, she don't know nothing about
Little House on the Prairie.
Streets, the Bronx. She don't know nothing, right? But she was in the suite there, and then some people had asked her, because I had the jacket on with no shirt under. And they had asked her, some of our friends had asked her, yo, you think? She said, 1,000,000% my dad's taking that jacket off. Before I took it off.
Really?
She said 1,000,000% he's taking it. I didn't even know I was taking it off.
Wow.
And I just took it off, man. I let the fat flow. You know what I'm saying? I had to give it to him Bronx style.
Yeah, but you took it off and then you continued to rap. I mean, you took it off and then you performed.
But they loved it, though.
I was there. We were screaming.
No, it was just like, yo, Joey's from the Bronx. So my thing was, it was Hip Hop 50. It was the whole world was there. The whole world. Like, the next day, I checked out all the news outlets, and they were interviewing people from Oklahoma, Texas, San Francisco, like the whole world.
Right.
People from China, from all over was there. Everybody was dressed up like Run DMC. And so I knew they was in the Bronx. And I wanted my little 15, 20 minutes of fame up there to make you know you in the Bronx.
Wow.
So you coming from all over.
Right.
But for those 20 minutes, you recognize, oh, shit, we're in the Bronx.
We're in the Bronx.
And
That was the Bronx.
Yeah, this the Bronx, and he gonna show you what the Bronx is.
Right.
Like, from the break dances to bringing out KRS-One, my idol, we took it there, so where you was like, oh, shit.
I mean, breakdancing started in the Bronx.
Hip-hop started in the Bronx.
Yes.
Breakdancing started in the Bronx. Graffiti, I don't know if I could say it started in the Bronx. I think that came back from the pyramids and all that.
Right.
But hip hop culture, the Bronx has influenced the whole world time and time again.
Now, who do you think? I always like to ask questions like this. And again, I'm not a connoisseur, but I'm an artist, and I do listen to rap. Who do you think are like your top all-time greatest rappers? Oof. I mean, I like Biggie. I thought Biggie was great.
I think Biggie's the best.
I like Biggie. I thought he obviously he didn't do a lot of albums, but when you listen to it,
Biggie's the best.
And I thought Tupac was very prolific. He's
one of the best.
And obviously Eminem.
Eminem's one of the best.
One of the best. Yeah.
I'll add some names to that. Rakim.
Right.
Jay-Z, Nas.
Yeah.
I would add that to that list. Lil Wayne after. And Fat Joe. My idols are Heavy D, rest in peace. And that's where I got the confidence as a big boy to, dress fly, make songs for the young ladies. And LL Cool J.
LL Cool, well, God, yeah.
He's a major
yeah, all these guys,
he's a
guys.
major influence in hip hop, and KRS-One from the Bronx. So I'm like a gumbo of them three. I'm a gumbo.
A gumbo.
Yeah, I'm a gumbo. I studied all of them. And who's your top 5 actors of all time?
Actors?
Yeah.
Oh well, I would say obviously Bob De Niro, obviously Marlon Brando.
Ooh.
I would say Brando is absolutely.
Woo!
I would say Brando, Robert De Niro, my top 5 actors of all time. I would have absolutely put Pacino in there. Those 3. I would put. I love Peter O'Toole. I would have to put him there, and I would probably put James Dean.
James Dean, you're going all the way back.
3 movies, 3 classics. James. I mean those. I'm a member of the Actors Studio, and they come from the Actors Studio, so I might be a little biased.
Well, my father right now,
Yeah.
This very second, if he would answer FaceTime, he's watching Western movies right now.
John
This
Wayne.
very second.
John Wayne he loves.
Nah, he don't. He loves all the other ones, man. You know, he's like a hater. Like, we're from the Bronx, and my father loved the Mets. Like, how could you be from the Bronx 5 minutes from Yankee Stadium and be a Met fan? He's a hater. He's a self-proclaimed hater, so he wouldn't like John Wayne. He would like all these other, you know, he'd be talking to me about Harold Flynn and this one and that. You know, he got the guys that, he likes the other guys in the Western films. And he would tell, he watches it day and night. He'd be like, this guy got 100 movies. This guy got 80 movies.
He's a hater.
He knows everything. Yeah, he's a hater for sure.
So he likes contrary to everybody else.
Everything you say, he's going to go against
He's going to go against it.
He's Cuban. You know, my father's a Cuban, a diehard Cuban. He going to go against it. Even if he likes it, he'll go against it.
Was he born in Cuba?
Yes.
So he left when the whole
Batista.
Batista.
And so my father came over here, and then I got a bunch of stepbrothers and sisters that were over there.
Right.
And then when the Mariel happened, my mother and father whipped up some money together, and they bought a rinky-dink boat. So he went back to Cuba to get my brothers and sisters.
Shit.
They gave him 2 sisters, Mercy and Lourdes, and they flooded the little boat with 30 other Cubans we didn't know. And so when he was almost by the Florida Keys, the boat sank, and the Coast Guard saved him. And the next thing I know, the next week, I had 30 Cubans in my house in the Bronx. My father didn't even know him. It was Cheche Collet, Julio Ecojo, all these guys.
This is
in
a
there.
movie.
This is too much. And they all in my house, and I'm going to school stepping on Cubans, and you know, and they taught me a lot of bad things, street stuff. They were the first to teach me, you know, how to do certain things.
Right.
And but yeah, that's you know, we die. You know, he's a diehard Cuban, man. And we eventually got all my brothers and sisters over here.
Now, how many brothers and sisters you have?
Wow. He had personally over there, he had 9 brothers and sisters over there before me. I'm like the so-called baby. And then my mother had 3 kids, my sister and my 2 brothers before me with another husband, right? And so I got a bunch of
Man, you got a lot of mouths to feed, babe.
Oh yeah, well they're feeding themselves. Everybody's feeding themselves, but I am the most
right.
responsible.
Exactly.
And so like with my schedule, with working so much and being famous, if my father gets sick, I stop everything. I'm the guy sitting right next to him in the bed.
Nice.
If my mother gets sick, I'm the guy sitting right next to her. So I'm in the hospital
you're
with
like,
them. Yeah, I'm the one.
You're the one. Yeah, it's like I'm the one.
Yeah, you're the one, right?
Like I'm the one. Yeah.
I got a brother. He's sick. He's in the hospital in the Bronx now, and they cut off his leg for diabetes. Right. So I went in there. I didn't like how the hospital was looking.
Right.
I had to make the calls and be like, "Yo, you know, my brother can't be in this."
You got to
joint.
make the calls. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's a lot of pressure when you talk about being the leader of the family. And I realize a lot of people like Remy, my sister. She's from the Bronx too. And she's got that same. If her mother gets sick in North Carolina, she got to go out there. She got to. I don't know. I just think that something happens.
Right.
They say.
Right.
It's that guy. He got to answer.
Guy. Call Joe.
Call Joe.
It's call Joe. Call Chazz.
My grandmother.
Right.
When she was sick, may she rest in peace. I sat in the hospital with her for 3 months straight, and all I did was ask her questions about Puerto Rico and the past and how she got here, how she met my grandfather, how she did.
Yeah.
But I would be there with her, and I'm just like that type of guy,
You're
know, when it
man,
comes
Joe.
to my. Thank God.
No, seriously, you're a good man. You got a good heart. Man.
Yeah, we got. I'm all about family at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But once again, I don't let nobody abuse me.
No.
I got one uncle. He got me for 3 Frankfurter trucks. I never seen the hot dogs. I'm like, bro, like this is it. What, you got a new bright idea? What is it?
Yeah.
The hot dog truck? I gave you for 2 hot dog trucks. I drove around the hospital because you said you was going to be outside the hospital. Never seen a hot dog truck. Are you sure you want me to give you money for another hot dog truck?
I agree.
And these are the type of things. We laugh at it, but these are the type of things.
You know what I say? I say to people, I'm not going to lend you money. I can't lend you money. If you want, it's like Bronx Tale. How much is it going to cost me to get rid of this guy?
That was beautiful.
You know what I mean? So for guys
that taught me a lot.
It did,
and
really?
So I got shot 2 times in the Bronx, right?
Same time.
2 times. The guy owed me $10. Same Bronx Tale story. Now I'm not gonna lie to you. I was a hustler in the Bronx. I was a drug dealer.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
I might have had $30,000 in my pocket. I see the guy. Once again, I bully him. Yo, where my $10? I want my $10. I want my $10. And that was pretty tough in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And one day he showed up looking demented, and he was so afraid of me because he thought I was going to hurt him over the $10, which really wasn't shit. I couldn't even buy a hero and a soda with it, right?
Right.
And he wound up, out of fear, he shot me twice. And so I learned that lesson from Bronx Tale when you said, hey, you got rid of him for $12. It was the realest story I ever seen. And so there's a couple of stories. Every movie I take something from a movie. I'm a real movie buff.
Right.
And so every movie, I take lessons from the movie. Whether it's a whacked out movie, whether it's a good one, whether it's about life. I always learn a lesson from the movie. I tell you one thing. I'll give you one and you give me one.
Go ahead.
If we could change a movie, right? If we could change a movie. Because sometimes you watch movies. I watched a documentary on John Gotti, right?
Right.
Well, I watched 2 of them recently, right? The one his son put out, which is amazing.
Right.
And the one the feds put out, that's Getting Gotti on thing. Now, I love the whole story till I know he's about to go down. I'm seeing him there, and the guy tells him, he says, you know what the guy tells him? The Fed grabs him, and he's been after him forever. And he sits Gotti in the car, and Gotti says, man, you've been after me forever. I'll be home in the morning. He said, well, I would watch what I say in Mrs. Such and Such house on the 2nd floor. Gotti was done. He knew he was done. I want to turn the dial right there. Wow. Yeah, right? Because
I remember that. Yeah.
They bugging the club for years, but they can't get Gotti's voice. They like, I don't understand. This guy doesn't talk. Is he a deaf? He's a this or that. They didn't know he was going upstairs to the lady's house all those years.
Right, all those years.
To talk. So he was up there talking freely as you could, because he'd been talking up there for years.
For years.
And never got caught.
Yeah.
So they bugged that house, and the guy tells him, he said, so all the time they say no matter how many times they arrested him, no matter what they threw at him, he was arrogant, cocky. He knew he was going to win.
He didn't talk in the club.
He told him, he said, yo, I would watch what I say in the lady's house on the second floor. He said Gotti's whole face just like melted at that point. He knew, oh shit.
They got me.
They got me. It's over. What do you want me to do? But I wish I could change the movie. Right?
Right.
And so, like, my movie I wish I could always change, and I get sick every time I watch it, is Sonny getting killed in The Godfather. What would have happened if Sonny lived? Sonny at the toll booth when they killed him, he was the hothead. He was the tough son, man.
Yeah, he
I wish
was.
they could rewrite that, man.
Well, see, but the idea was The Godfather's not supposed to be, you got to be tough, but you got to be, like, smart.
Brains. That's what
Sonny
Marlon...
was just too fucking wild. Sonny would say, fuck it, everybody's paying. They're all going to pay. Remember when he tells Tom Hagen, it's not your father. It's not your father. It's my blood. Fuck them. They all die. Where Al was more, Al was more, it's not
Let's
personal.
think this one out.
Business.
But this guy says to me, right? I tell a story on my Instagram the other day.
Yeah.
I have a guy who's probably top 5 of my friends in the world. His name is Nori, right? Nori is a rapper from Queens, but he's a superstar legend, right? And so we always go to dinner, me and his wife, me and his family. His kids grow up in my house. My kids we're brothers, right? So he's from Queens, but me and him are tight. And there's this thing about Queens and the Bronx, because KRS-One dissed Queens when, big rap battle beef, but all in love. So in Yankee Stadium, in the 50th anniversary, I bring out KRS-One and we do The Bridge Is Over, right? But I had just kissed the people who he's dissing on the record. This is a 40-year-old record.
Right.
I just kissed Roxanne Shante on the cheek, who he was talking about. I had MC Shan in my dressing room for 2 hours, the guy he's dissing. Everybody he dissed on the record, I was just hanging out with them. It was just hip-hop, right?
Right.
So we perform it on stage. I don't think none of it, the place goes crazy.
Right.
He does The Bridge Is Over, KRS-One in the Bronx.
Right.
It's nuts, right? It's almost Frank Sinatra in the Bronx. Like, this is like too much, right? So Nori, we go to Nas's 50th birthday. Rob De Niro was there. And so I'm in there with a bunch of Queens dudes. Mind you, my wife is from Queens, 30 years.
Right.
I love these guys. These are my friends. I grew up with them. So in the middle of the night, Nori tells me, yo, go over there. He points at Slick Rick the Ruler, who's a Bronx legend. He goes, go over there with the Bronx. Queens is over here. You with the Bronx guy. This is one of my best top 5 friends in the world, right? And so when he said this to me, I looked at him, right? Because it was a million guys from Queens could have told me that.
Why did
Nobody
he say
told
that?
me that. He told me this. I text Rich immediately. I said, it was Balzini all along. It was Balzini all along. Like, when the Godfather dies, he tells Michael, whoever comes to broker the deal, broker the peace,
Wow.
they gotta go. They setting you up.
It was Barzini.
Balzini all along.
It was Balzini
So
all
Nori
along.
hits me. I texted him. It's Balzini all along. It was Balzini all
Yeah.
Nori, my best friend, he's telling me go to the Bronx side. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. We made so much fun about it, but you gotta watch it. You
gotta
know,
watch it, man.
These are things I learned from movies.
Now, I know you had a legendary beef with 50 Cent.
Yes.
But I hear that's all okay.
All the way over, swept under the rug. He's
Right.
he's a tough guy. He's a Queens guy.
Queens guy,
He's
right.
a tough guy. When I had a problem with him, he had just sold 30 million records. He was like a god. He was the biggest guy in hip hop. And here go Joey from the Bronx fighting toe to toe with this guy, going blow for blow.
Right.
And I'm glad it's over.
Good.
The hip hop community is glad it's over. This is one beef that could have went really, really bad.
Right.
But it turned out so good, and we're friends and brothers. And so the youth can learn and say, hey, we can have a misunderstanding. We don't got to take it to the violence, because we saw what happened with Biggie and Tupac.
Yeah.
So sometimes, stuff like this is another form of telling the youth, the rappers coming behind us, like, yo, Joe and 50, it was ugly. Like, it was a real ugly thing.
Now, do you think, Joe, that a real rapper has to grow up in the hood to be a real rapper?
I wouldn't say that 2023.
Right.
Because, there's so many different forms of hip hop, so many different.
That's a very good point.
But when we first came out,
I think that's a good point.
And it's unfair to rappers that are successful, kids. Because rappers that are successful have a following that follow them and say, man, we know Joey. The other day I put out a sneaker. It sold in 5 minutes globally.
Right.
I almost cried watching the pictures of lines outside all the stores. I was staring at everybody who was purchasing it and why. I was like, why this girl wants the Terror Squad? Why this guy? Why did I got pictures of all the stores where there was lines, but it's like the truth is they was like, oh no, this is Joey from the block. This is Joey from the hood. And he never left us, and we know how he grew up, and we seen his flaws, and we see his triumphs, and we here to support.
Wow.
And we're going to support Joey. And so overall, that's how they know me. They know me from nothing. They know me from nothing to where I'm at. So now you get a kid of a celebrity, of a hip hop star,
right.
And they grew up in
listening to you and
the Little House on the Prairie, though.
Got it.
And so the hood is like, nah, you grew up rich. We don't want to hear your story. You grew up rich.
Right.
So it's very unfortunate for like artists who have talented kids who want to become artists, because the people in the streets are like, nah, they didn't grow up like they dad. They dad, 50 Cent got shot 9 times. Snoop Doggy Dogg beat a murder case. I mean, this is not stuff that should be glorified.
Right,
but this was the stuff
right.
this was the credentials that you needed to be considered authentic and real back in the days. And now, I think a lot less. I think now it's all right. It's all right to grow up, middle class. It's all right to grow up with a mother and father and make hip hop music.
Okay, that's fair.
I think 2023.
I think that's fair, but I think it was brilliant what you said, and I mean that word truly brilliant, because when rap and all this stuff first came out, they had nothing to draw from, so you had to draw from real life experience.
It all came from real life experience, and I go back to Melly Mel and Grandmaster Flash with the song "The Message."
Right.
Right. What did you feel like when you heard like hip hop coming? You heard it coming.
I loved it. See, I was always into. Well, I come from even early. I come from R&B, the Four Tops. To me that's
the real deal.
To me.
All right, now ask me what my mother's doing right now in the other room. She's listening to the Four Tops and the Temptations. On the on the TV.
To me, that
right
was...
now, if I FaceTime my mother, she's listening to all of... Right. Every now and then I hear a song from back in the days, and my mom was listening to the real deal, the real Love You songs.
Yes.
So I heard a song the other day. I was like, damn, my mother would... I know she loves this record. So you was on that.
Yes, I was like, like you said, My Girl, the Temptations, the Stylistics, all that. I was very heavy into black music, very heavy into black music.
And then hip hop came.
So
it went from that and went to disco.
Right.
And then disco turned into Bee Gees mania.
Yes.
So the Bee Gees had it on a chokehold. These guys was like Drake times 10.
That was 10. Times 10.
Bee Gees was Drake times 10.
Yes.
So they was like, the new song, and the whole radio was just Bee Gees playlist.
Saturday Night Fever was so big. Everyone was
Did you know John Travolta before that, or did you just...
I didn't know John
so
then.
You saw him like us.
I ended up knowing John really well now.
Yeah, but on the screen...
I didn't know him
You
then.
saw him like us. Like you just saw Saturday Night Fever and you was like, yo, this guy with these blue eyes, huh?
Yes, exactly.
And then he's walking down the street.
I mean, that was us, That was us. That was us, man.
He walking on the street, boy. That boy John Travolta had the game.
I remember the nightclub. That was 2001. Back then, pastels.
Did you go to Studio 54 or no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was crazy. It was like, that was like the first one. Then I was the doorman at the Limelight.
Wow.
In 1982.
I remember the
so
Limelight.
That was crazy, man.
They took the church and made
the
it
church. Yes.
For what? Peter Gation?
Peter Gation. That's correct. That's correct. And it was like people walking in there with green hair and pink hair and transgender. But you never had a problem. Then there was gay night on Monday. Nobody ever had a fucking problem with anything. Now it's crazy, but back then it was great, man. Everybody loved each other. It was fucking great.
It was
fantastic.
Great in them days.
It was great in those days, Joe.
Yeah,
it was fucking great in those. Let me tell you something. There's this fucking comic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bring her up here. Tara, no, come on up here. She's from the Bronx. She's like a fucking. Bring a chair over here. Can I come here over here. I know you had some questions because she goes. Fat Joe's going to be there. I got to fucking come.
I emailed you all my questions I wanted you to ask him.
Yeah. Sit over here. No, bring that over here if you can. Go ahead.
No.
I want you to ask him. You're from the Bronx?
You touched up on everything.
I know, but
I would say just...
But you're legit. Come a little closer.
I didn't take my Invisalign out for this.
Go ahead. This is one of the funniest girls from, I'm not saying girls, funniest comics.
Thank you.
They get very nervous when you say female comics.
No, you can't do that.
It's got to be comics. Yeah. Go ahead, ask him a question, whatever you want.
Listen, first of all, coming from the Bronx, just watching this whole interview right now, you are everything that we want the Bronx to be. You are articulate, you are funny, you are classy, you are real. Hip hop is not just a genre of music. It's a culture. Mm-hmm. And you are one of the biggest names responsible for a culture. Do you feel the weight of that? Like, obviously in all your philanthropy work you do, but do you...
I just try to move like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. That's why everybody begs me to be a politician. I'll be like, how many skeletons that come out
my
closet?
Are you kidding?
Are you nuts?
Are you kidding?
It'd be so horrible for me.
No, right.
But I try my best to inspire the people and letting them know that everything is possible. And so, it's very important for me that the people feel like I'm accessible, and that's very hard when it comes to artists or actors and all that, because we always like that mystique and stay away.
Yeah.
But I like people to feel like if I go to Fat Joe's store, his nephew could put him on the FaceTime. We could talk to him. And so that's it. I just feel like I was so blessed growing up in the Bronx.
Right.
That I just can't forget those people. And I was a bad guy too in the Bronx. And so the fact that they didn't kill me or tell on me for me to go to jail forever is like I got like an oath to them to show up every time something goes wrong. I'm there for them.
It's almost like, and I always say this, the suffering and the trials and tribulations that I had growing up in the Bronx, I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for that.
Oh, yeah, we got everybody beat, because street smart. First of all, the Bronx has always, not just now, has always been the melting pot of New York City. So all the immigrants, they come there, they become American, they figure this system out, and then they spread out everywhere else. And so it's the one place you could go where Jews and Muslims are working side by side with each other.
Right.
And everybody's getting along and everybody's loving each other. And so it's the melting pot of New York City. And I don't know if we get enough credit for that.
I think I think you're right about that.
Would you say the Bronx, we talked about it before, would you say, like I say all the time, when you tell people you're from the Bronx, no matter where you are in the world, people know where you're from?
I felt like, and rest in peace, I felt like Anthony Bourdain did a bad job when he came to the Bronx.
What? I felt the same way.
I felt like he didn't, and I love that show, I love Anthony Bourdain.
And I couldn't wait to watch it when I heard the Bronx.
Yeah, and
I agree with you.
I just didn't feel like us. Like I didn't feel like
100%.
the Bronx. Like he could have really did the Bronx. He definitely wasn't told by the right people where to go in the Bronx.
He did a sanitized version of the Bronx, if you know what I mean.
And it's terrible because I love this show so much, and everything he said was like law to me. If he was like Brazil, I was thinking that was it.
That was it.
But when they came to the Bronx, I was like, yo, that's not the Bronx. Like that's not you know, he didn't capture the Bronx in its entirety and the amazingness of the Bronx.
I agree with you, man. About
Most
that.
people think the Bronx, they think very negative.
Is your show when you do stand up? You talk about the Bronx a lot, right?
Yeah, I talk about the Bronx a lot. I talk about
You
coming
talk
from the Bronx.
negative or you talk
No, positive. I mean, I joke about
You
the
joke
negative.
about-
Like when I say
How
I'm
hard
so,
is it for you to go to the bodega as a female in the Bronx without 36,000? It's almost you need a football team. You got to run it.
I always say,
Walk behind
I know I'm
linebackers.
blessed from the Bronx, and I know that because they tell me, right? It's like, God bless you, Ma, God bless you, you know, all the time. You
She's
know?
like, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Yo,
But-
these guys, huh?
Wow.
That's fun. I love it.
I mean, so what's next for you, Joe? What do you got coming up? What do you? How could your fans?
I have
anything you
a-
want to talk about that your fans could see you on?
I have a show, TV show coming up with Stars Network, where LeBron and Diddy are my co-executive producers, and it's just like it's a talk show, but done very differently. So like if my show was off and running, I'd be filming you, filming me, and then me and you would chop it up and talk. And if I go to All-Star Weekend, they would capture me with Michael Jordan talking behind the scenes.
Wow.
You know, it's almost like it's a traveling Fat Joe talk show. It's the craziest thing in the world.
sounds
but
great,
we
bud.
get a lot of magic moments. Like you, say a day in the life of Chazz Palminteri, and you go to Manhattan to go to the restaurant.
Right.
You might look across the table and it's Tommy Mottola. Yo, Tommy, what's up? But you can't tell nobody what it's going. But
Right.
if you caught the camera right there
Right.
and you're like, yo, Tommy, and Tommy starts like, yo, Chazz,
Yeah.
I ain't see you
I
since
told
the
Tommy
old
you were
joint."
here-
I
you were
said,
here
"That's
tonight."
my brother.
Tommy?
Yeah, I love Tommy.
I told him you were here.
Tommy, I was supposed to go to dinner with him last week in Campagnolas.
Campagnolas.
Campagnolas, yeah. You know, Tommy's my brother, man. But that's what it is, man. And so we doing that. Then we doing the series based on my book, The Book of Jose.
Right.
Very Bronx. And
Did that start filming yet?
Kenya Barris is writing it,
Oh, it's being written.
right?
Okay.
So he's writing it. So we gonna do that, and the Terrero brothers.
Wow.
And just, you know, a bunch of business, a bunch of
Tommy.
investments.
Tommy. Yeah, I'm going to get him on the phone right now.
He's on. You gotta put him on speaker.
Yeah, I'm going
Well,
to put him
not
on speaker
yet.
I want to make sure I tell him.
You know.
I'm going to get Tommy right now and say, all right, I've been trying to get Tommy on the show now for like weeks.
He's terrible.
Terrible.
He's terrible.
Terrible. All right?
Tommy don't come. He's 5 minutes away from here. What is he?
He's 10 minutes from here.
10 minutes from here.
Tommy, you know who I'm talking to right now? You're on the air, Tommy. You know who I'm talking to, Tommy? I'm talking to...
On the wrong number, bro.
No, I'm talking to Fat Joe. Joe, say hello to Tommy.
Yo, Tommy. Yo, I'm up here doing Chazz's Kalogidou's podcast.
It's about time.
Yeah, well, we waiting on you now.
Waiting on you, Tommy.
You 10 minutes away. I know where you live.
No, I know. I'm on my way into the city, unfortunately.
All right.
And I would come over in 2 seconds.
And you know we love you. You know he greeted me with some oil, some pink salt, and some of the finest Italian bread. You know how we do. Yeah, listen. I'm at a God bless. I'm at a funeral with Tommy.
Right.
A dear friend of ours passed away. Right.
Right.
And they were giving food. You know this.
Right,
this
right.
was to the highest of standards by anybody's means. Somehow Tommy snuck up in the kitchen, pulled out the mozzarella, the fresh peppers, he turned it into Sunday dinner at the Italians.
That's it.
And then I said, yo, Tommy, where you found this? He's like, come on, Joe, stick with me.
All right.
That bread on Arthur Avenue, you know that.
That's
I
right.
know
Arthur
that.
Avenue. All right, Tommy, listen, you're going to do the show in the next couple of weeks, all right, bro?
Come and do it. I'll come and do it.
All right, we love you,
missed the dinner,
Tommy.
By the way, with Eddie, Joe.
I know at Capanolas, but I was busy that day.
No, I know. We'll do it again.
All right. Love you, my brother.
Let's do this together. We'll have fun.
All right.
You know, like right after Thanksgiving.
I'll do it. I'll come back up here.
All right, Tommy. See you later, brother. All right.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Love you.
Yeah,
Tommy
he's
Mottola.
the fucking best.
I want to know who.
Go ahead. Let me
I
hear.
want to know who on earth has a theme hit record song. When I'm in the club and it comes out of nowhere,
Tommy
Tommy
Mottola
Mottola.
lives on the road.
Did he put a gun to them girls' heads to sing that? Yo, I never heard of a guy who has his own theme song.
That was 1960 something. We used to hear that song in the fucking club. And it was like...
You hear it now in the
Let
club.
me tell you about Tommy Mottola, and I say this, people don't realize it. Tommy Mottola was the biggest, most powerful fucking man in record business for 20 years.
Yes, he
For
was.
20 years. That son of a bitch was soaking $30 million a year away.
Yeah.
Motherfucker. For 20 years. Okay? So
Nah, Tommy's the
Tommy
biggest, man.
Was the biggest.
And so, unfortunately, I became friends with him after when he retired. Otherwise, I'd have got some of them checks with him. But his wife is a beautiful.
Talia.
Talia is such a beautiful person. I collaborated and did songs with her.
Right.
And not only that, she is literally, all jokes aside, the sweetest person I've met in this industry.
And very talented.
Very
talented.
oh.
Huge following.
She's the only person my grandmother wanted to meet.
Really?
So I did a song with her because she was originally All My Children, General Hospital.
Right.
She was the #1 soap opera novella in Mexico in Spanish. She was the one. She was the Susan Lucci of
right.
Of the
Right.
novella, Spanish
Right.
novella. So when I was doing the song with her, my grandmother told me, "Can I meet Thalia?" And she came to the video. We shot it in the Bronx, and she met Thalia, my grandmother. Like, she couldn't believe it.
Couldn't believe it
that
was
this
her.
girl she watches every night on TV.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Well, Joe, you got any more questions?
I want to know what his favorite Fat Joe song is.
My favorite.
What the song you'd say you're proudest of?
I wouldn't say proudest, but my favorite song I ever did, which is, is called Definition of a Don. And so it was like, Remy's like, they want to know why they call you Joey Crack. You a hustler. How you get your rhyme? When I hear that, I feel tough. When I hear that. I got a couple of songs that I really, really like, but I don't really listen to Fat Joe. I don't know how weird is it. Do you watch your movies all the time?
Never.
Like, I never listen to my music. And I never understood, it's like that Mary J. Blige. She's one of my wife's best friends. She hates it when she goes somewhere and they start playing Mary J. Blige songs.
Yes.
So you don't want to hear, we love it. We appreciate that we made it, but we don't want to be you don't want to be sitting in a restaurant
it feels
and
a
they
little weird.
keep playing all of Fat Joe. Do you go to Moderano's?
Moderano's. Are you kidding me? Stevie Moderano, I go there all the time.
Stevie's the best, huh?
The best.
My brother, yo,
greatest
Cuz.
food. Yo, what's happening?
Yo,
A
Cuz.
big shout out to Stevie out there. That's
Stevie is my favorite chef in the world.
Do you know what? I say the same thing. When
You
I
said
land, I always tell them, it's a famous, I said, as soon as the plane fucking lands, I get out and I go, Moderano's. I tell the fucking driver, Moderano's.
Got to. Yo, Stevie, when it was the little spot, Fort Lauderdale, and he expanded it, I knocked down the wall with the hammer. I had the
Really?
hat. Yeah,
Right.
he got it in his book where I broke down the wall. For Steve is a big friend, but most of all, he never lets me down because, I'm Fat Joe. So we talk about food wherever we go. And so when people who know food start talking about Italian restaurants, I'll be like, go to Fort Lauderdale and go to Moderano.
Go to Moderano's.
Once they go to Moderano, every single time they say, nah, this guy, he's the best.
Now, I got to be honest. I own 2 Italian restaurants. I own 2 great Italian restaurants. One in Manhattan, Chazz Palminteri's, one in White Plains, Chazz Palminteri's. When I go down there, when I go to Miami, I go to Moderano's. Sometimes his food makes me feel like my grandmother made it. It's like weird, man.
So good.
It's like weird. It's
While
like,
you're waiting, he throws you a little cheesesteak.
he throws a little
Philly,
this, a little cheesesteak,
little bit of that,
little
little fresh peppers. I take my mother there one day for her birthday.
Yeah.
And I got my father, and I tell you, my father's
Father hates everything.
he's a tough guy, right? So Steve goes and throws some beans out there. Like, I think the pasta fagioli, just the beans.
Pasta fagioli, yeah.
But, everything he does is tasty. Then he throws out he threw out like 3 or 4 things that were like stuff that poor people eat.
Right.
Like, it was poor.
But that's the great.
No. But tasty. But he's throwing out these appetizers that are like, and my father's like, yo, man, this is poor people food. You're going to take your mother to this joint? I said, listen, Dad, The lobster franchise is coming.
Right.
The lobster's
Yeah,
coming.
right.
The shrimps are coming. He's like, yo, this is poor people food, man. How you gonna take me to some shit like this?
He's a
No, my
classic.
father's something else, man. But he wind up loving it to death. My mother too. She tells me all the time, take me to Moderanos. My aunts. Yeah, shout out Stevie.
We got to meet Stevie's one day. We'll have dinner there. All right?
Yes, sir.
So now we're going to wrap up right now. Joe,
Yeah.
It's been a fucking
Thank
pleasure.
you for having me.
No, thank you. And
It's Halloween. I got to give all the kids in the house these candies now.
absolutely.
You know.
And anything else that you wanted to let
No,
our guys know?
Hey, yo, man, we love you guys. We love you.
Thank you.
So most of all, I want you to know I came up here for you. We're huge fans. And when I speak behind the whole Bronx.
Well, thank you.
Fat Joe comes here as, remember the gangs of New York, the
Yes.
5 corners?
Yes.
I'm one of those guys, and I'm telling you, the Bronx is beyond proud of you. We love you and everything you do, and we're supporting forever.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Love you, brother.
God bless you, man.
All right.
All right. We'll see you next week, folks. All right. Come on. Tell us about the 5th floor, bro.
Well, I'm from the 5th floor.
Okay.
You're from the 5th floor. The rapper Noriega, Living Legends, 5th floor, and Jay-Z's 5th floor.
Shit.
I mean, all the greatness comes from the 5th floor.
From the
man.
5th floor. Got to walk up and down those steps.
You got to do it. And I remember I remember when the elevator was broken in my building and just
Right.
watching the whole building walk up the stairs. I was standing there in the staircase and just watch everybody walk up the stairs.
Right.
It was hilarious. But my 5th floor, made me who I am.
Me too, man. We didn't even have an elevator in my building. So,
So you was always walking the 5th floor.
but how about when when your parents said you got to go down, but they forgot something at the store? It was like
Ooh.
you and your sisters. We was you go, I go. No, I'm not going.
And they used to come to your building selling the newspaper like
That's
paper.
right. Yeah.
And what about this truck used to come with the milk?
The milk truck.
The milk truck.
That's like the milkman, you know.
That's the milkman. They used to say I was the milkman's son because my
That's right.
father's this short, my mother's this short, and I'm this tall. I'm 12
Right.
years old crossing the street with these people. I'm taller than both of them. They'd be like, yo, that's the milkman's son.
But that's a really good point about the 5th floor. Because I didn't know that Jay-Z was from the 5th floor.
That's
too.
right. That's
Holy
right.
shit, man.
Legends are from the 5th floor, where legends are made of.